Hi, I'm Jeff.
I'm Regina.
And today we wanted to talk about Austin Campground it's near Austin, Pennsylvania, which I don't even think the locals know where Austin is, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Beautiful place. The campground is kind of situated in between two ridges, so it's kind of a little valley between two ridges. There's a stream that runs, or kind of a creek that runs through the park, and a really beautiful setting. Not much in the way of Wi-Fi or cellular coverage, that sort of thing. So it was very pretty though. When we got in there, I had booked this a long time ago, and I didn't realize. I thought I booked everything the way that we liked it. So we get in, and the lady gave us a choice between a couple of sites, and I said, well, are they both full hookups? And she goes, oh, we don't have any full hookup sites. There's no sewer at any of the sites. And we were like, okay, so that's a little bit of a switch for us with 8 of us in the camper. But fortunately, we picked a site that was right next to the bathhouse, and the campground was not all that busy, so we were able to, it was towards the end of the season, we were able to utilize the bathhouse, and that was not a problem at all. Very nice facilities.
What I did not like, though, real quick, is having to relearn how to cook and do dishes and wash our hands and brush our teeth. The first day or two, I was a little grumpy. I'm not gonna lie. Not because I didn't like it. It was beautiful. It was just refiguring out what we had finally gotten a good routine established, just refiguring out those basic things, but we managed.
So any of you guys who do tent camping or dry camping are like, what a bunch of pansies. But no, seriously, like when you're used to be able to have your water flow and not worry about draining your dishes or, leaving the water running to rinse out your toothbrush and stuff, it's definitely a different consideration. But it all worked out great, and the people were great there. They did have a service where they would come and empty your tanks out. It was a paid service, and then they also had a dump station in the middle of the campground, but we didn't really want to unhook in the middle of the week and go and do that. So it worked out fine. One of the mornings the power went out at about 5 a.m. and so we weren't sure whether we were going to have to move spots, because I think it was the second night that we were there.
We had just grocery shopped the night before.
Yeah, so we had only been there,
yeah.
maybe 2 days, and we had gone grocery shopping like filled up because there's not any. The nearest place where there was a Walmart, we crossed into New York, so it was it was like 50 miles away or something, and so we had loaded up at Walmart and Aldi, and the power goes out, and so I had gotten up and went for a jog thinking maybe the power would be back on when we got back, and it wasn't back on, and they must be on a pump because the water also didn't work when the power was out. So one of the best experiences of our trip so far is I got my stuff. I went down to the river and with my swimming suit on and bathed in the icy cold river, and let me tell you, that's what men do.
Man card.
That's right.
He earned his man card.
It wasn't really that bad, but it was pretty cool. So so I had to go down to town to be able to do some work. The nearest town is Austin, and I think it was about
6 miles or
6
something.
miles, 10 or 15 minutes away. And so I found a laundromat there, and I would go in and do the laundry and work. And the laundromat was at the back of this building that was kind of a labyrinth of different rooms, and each room kind of served a different shop purpose. There was a antique store, a hardware store, a hunting supplies store, a grocery store, and the laundromat, and a liquor store, and they were all in the same building, I think owned by the same people who were super sweet. And it was actually pretty convenient because it had most of the stuff that we needed, and the laundromat was very good price, especially compared to some of our journeys. So yeah, what else about Austin? I know that.
Oh, we loved it.
Yeah, we loved it. The
absolutely
area
loved it.
is absolutely beautiful. You talk about the area a little bit.
So we went down to we were in the area of the Pennsylvania Wilds, which I had no idea even existed. That area, it's the north central region of Pennsylvania, and it's called the Wilds, and they are big on conservation, but they're also big on hunting. It's a really good balance. So they ask you respect your hunting seasons, you keep the elk wild. So I was very impressed with their approach to conservation, but also knowing that hunting and other, fishing and other things are vital to a balanced ecosystem. So we went to a state park one afternoon. It was called Semahoning State Park, and inside the visitor center there was this really cool display of just all the animals you're going to see locally, which are animals we don't see in Florida. some of them are the same, but some of them are very unique to the Pennsylvania Wilds regions, or just in the region up where we were that obviously we have not lived in before. So it was very interesting. The kids absolutely loved it. And then they had a huge education room where they had puzzles and coloring pages that the kids could draw for fall, all different, what the seasons look like around there, with drawers that would pull out. I mean, I could go on. It was absolutely fantastic. So a lot of great state parks in the Pennsylvania Wilds area. And we wanted to see elk really bad. At least me and the girls did. We were like, I want to see elk. I want to see elk. I want to see elk. And we tried. There was a place down at the bottom of where Semahoning State Park was. There was a beautiful lake there. You might have seen a picture in one of our recaps, or maybe Christian will put it on this video. And but there was a dam at the bottom, and there was no water in the dam. And so the elk would come, about a herd of 14 elk would come and graze there every evening. And we couldn't find them. We couldn't see them. We couldn't. But guess what? The last night, the one night I didn't go, guess what Grace and Piper saw? You got it. They saw elk. So I have the sweatshirt. They actually saw it. Well, we have the sweatshirt. But there was another state park that we went to that I'll let Jeff talk about, because it was one of his highlights of our whole camping, RVing adventure.
Yeah, it was Kinzua. I think I pronounced it properly, or Kinzua. I'm not sure which. I think it's Kinzua.
I've also heard Kinzua.
Kinzua.
But
Kinzua. So if you grew up there, we apologize for mispronouncing it. But it was an old train track that was built in the 1800s. Went up between these two ridges over this gorge. I think it was about 230 feet from the bridge, the middle of the span, to the bottom of the valley there. And there was a river, Kinzua Creek, that ran through there. And it had been in use for many years. It had been like they replaced the iron with steel, and then they were doing restoration work on it in the late 90s and early 2000s when a tornado came through and ripped out the entire center of the bridge.
2003.
2003.
Yes.
And so one of the really cool things about it, so they turned it into an observation deck on one side, so you can still go out quite a ways and look down into the valley, and there, there's an observation deck and like a little glass square that you can stand and look down through the floor. We were there when the foliage was really beautiful, and it was a beautiful day. The weather was awesome. But one of the really cool things about it is they left the wreckage down in the valley. And there's a trail that you can take down into the valley and go across the creek, and then you can climb up the other side. It's very steep on both sides.
A trail.
But the trail on the one side, kind of the visitor side, is a little bit more maintained. It's meant for traffic, and then the trail on the other side going back up is more like almost like an animal path, So it's a little steeper. But when you're down there and you just see how the wreckage is huge. It's really large and all mangled and stuff. It just really evokes your imagination, like there was, giants fighting in the valley and they ripped down this bridge. It's really cool. Definitely worth seeing if you can. And I was really glad that I did go, because I had been really busy with work, and I almost didn't go with them on this outing, but I took my laptop with me and kind of finished up the day sitting at the playground overlooking where the bridge is while the kids played, and wrapped up my work. And like Regina said, it was of all the places we visited, probably one of the highlight days of our trip so far. So that was really cool.
Great museum, great gift shop.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be it's called the Kinzua Skywalk. And so it's supposed to be, I think, one of the top 4 in the world to see the skywalk. And I know a couple of friends have messaged us and said, we grew up in that area, or, somewhere near there. We've been there many times. And so I know that, and another friend said that they had just watched a History Channel documentary type thing on the bridge. So that was really cool to hear that feedback from some of our friends that they could relate to where we've been. But it was really cool. I would highly recommend
visiting that state park. I think there was a lot of other state parks that we just didn't visit, but the Austin Campground, big recommendation.
Yes.
It was beautiful. At night you could see the stars really clearly. We got firewood, and we bought the firewood from them, and it was a really good deal to get a week's worth of supply of firewood, and we had fires almost every night. Morning,
noon, and night.
Yeah.
I got them going in the morning because it was cold.
And then last, in the creek, I didn't mention, it was like a stone skipper's paradise. They had just thousands of perfect skipping stones that you could just get all throughout the creek bed. Just the whole area was covered with them. So there were some long, flat places in the river where we spent literally hours just finding stones and skipping them. And some of the kids were finding little crawdads in the creek and catching them in buckets and then turning them loose. But yeah, it was a great place. We highly recommend Austin Campground and the Pennsylvania Wilds.
Yes.
We will be back.
We will be back.
All right, we'll see you in the next video.
Bye-bye.
Bye.